forgive you for this.
We might have a lead on what happened to Lily.
We feel like we should check it out.
Yeah, of course. Do whatever it takes to keep the family safe.
So Matt Clark is free.
Just disappeared. Once he was released, he took off.
That means he could be anywhere. He could be on this ranch. How is this happening again?
The Young and the Restless, YNR, preview video for the week of March 9th to 13th reveals that Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, will contemplate a new lead while Sienna Bacall, Tamara Braun, admits she's taken matters into her own hands to deal with the Matt Clark, Roger Howarth situation. YNR's weekly promo kicks off with Sienna delivering some surprising news to Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow. After Sienna admits that Nick and Sharon got her out of a really dangerous situation, she'll think she owes them for protecting her from Matt. That's why Sienna will insist she's taken steps on her own to help eliminate the threat Matt presents to all of them. Nick may worry about Sienna's plan clashing with his own, especially since she got in the way the last time he tried to take Matt out permanently. It's clear that Nick wants a fatal outcome for Matt, so he may not approve if Sienna's scheme ends with Matt's survival. That said, Sharon may think they can use all the help they can get. If there's a way to find Matt and stop him from causing more chaos, then maybe they should listen to Sienna and see if her way works. Meanwhile, the Abbotts will mull over a new clue that could point them in Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, direction. Bill will acknowledge this lead could be a wild goose chase, but Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, will counter that it could also be the lead they need to find Jack. Regardless, it's the only lead they'll have in the coming episodes, so Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, will think they have to follow it. As for Jack, he'll do his best to manipulate Patty Williams, Stacey Hayduke, on Victor Newman's, Eric Braden Yacht. It looks like Jack will seduce Patty a bit and suggest she should give him a grand tour. Patty will suggest that's a pretty big favor and wonder what Jack will give her in return. When Jack asks what Patty wants, she'll admit she'd like a kiss. "Show me the yacht, you get your kiss," Jack promises in YNR's weekly promo. Of course, Jack's real plan should be to get confirmation on the yacht's location and find a way to get that info to his family. Could Jack himself be the source of the lead that Billy and the others will mull over? Regardless, Patty has an unhinged side and may let it come out to play if Jack betrays her. The Young and the Restless spoilers Patty and Jack's reunion will come with more curveballs, so stay tuned. This plea puts Michael in an agonizing position. He has spent years clawing his way back into Victor's good graces, and a betrayal of this magnitude would erase all of that in an instant. However, seeing Diane's raw fear and knowing the stakes, the seed of doubt is firmly planted. Later, his wife Lauren, who has always had a soft spot for the Abbotts, adds to the pressure. She doesn't explicitly tell him to betray Victor, but she speaks passionately about doing the right thing, about the value of a human life over corporate loyalty. The episode leaves Michael visibly torn, staring at his phone, which holds the contacts and access that could either save Jack Abbott or destroy his own life. The hint that Jack is being held on a yacht at a specific marina becomes a tantalizing piece of information that Michael may soon be unable to keep to himself. While Michael grapples with his conscience, Kyle Abbott is taking a more direct, though equally complicated, route. Knowing that time is running out for his father, Kyle makes the difficult decision to turn to Claire Grace Newman. Their relationship has been through the ringer, tested by Claire's family legacy and her grandfather's manipulations. Kyle shows up at Claire's door, not as a boyfriend, but as a man desperate for help. He lays it all on the line, telling her that her grandfather has kidnapped his father and is holding him hostage. He doesn't ask her to choose sides in the abstract. He asks her to look into the man she loves and decide if she can stand by while his family is torn apart. For Claire, this is a devastating blow. She has been trying to carve out her own identity, separate from the dark shadows of her great-aunt Jordan and the ruthless expectations of Victor Newman. She has come to love the Abbott family and has found a sense of peace with Kyle. The news that Victor has shattered that peace with such a violent act fills her with a cold fury. On Monday, Claire doesn't just sympathize with Kyle, she springs into action. She marches straight to the Newman ranch, not to ask questions, but to demand answers. Her confrontation with Victor is electric. Unlike Nikki, who might plead, or Victoria, who might scheme, Claire confronts him with a moral clarity that pierces through his justifications. She tells him that if he doesn't release Jack immediately and unharmed, he will lose her forever. She doesn't mean just her trust. She means her presence in his life. Claire makes it clear that she will not be a part of a family that uses terror as a business tactic, and she will not be with a man who stands by while his grandfather commits such atrocities. This ultimatum from his beloved granddaughter, the one who represents his chance at redemption, clearly shakes Victor more than any Abbott threat ever could. In a parallel storyline that underscores the episode's theme of fractured families, Phyllis Summers continues her own agonizing quest for reconciliation. The previous week saw her trying to bridge the chasm between herself and her son, Daniel, with Kane Ashby acting as an intermediary. On Monday, Phyllis's efforts become more pointed. However, her attempts are complicated by the ongoing power struggle over Chancellor. Unbeknownst to many, Phyllis still holds the keys to the company, and Victor's ransom demand puts her in an incredibly powerful, yet morally precarious, position. Diane, in her frantic search for leverage, realizes that the quickest way to get Jack back might be to simply give Victor what he wants. In a move that shocks everyone, Diane sets aside her historic hatred for Phyllis and approaches her with a humble plea. She asks Phyllis to finalize the transfer of Chancellor back to Victor, not for Victor's sake, but for Jack's life. This puts Phyllis in an impossible spot. Handing over Chancellor would mean betraying Billy, a man she has recently aligned with and who helped her swindle Victor in the first place. It would be a massive victory for her nemesis. Yet, to refuse could mean prolonging Jack's nightmare. Phyllis's decision hangs in the balance, a testament to how Victor's actions have forced even his enemies to make heartbreaking compromises. Meanwhile, the Newman family itself is beginning to fracture under the weight of Victor's secret. While Victor believes he is securing their legacy, his actions are alienating the very people he claims to protect. Nikki Newman, who has spent a lifetime standing by her husband, is reaching her breaking point. She had warned Victor not to do something unforgivable, and he has done exactly that. On Monday, Nikki is shown in quiet contemplation, the image of Jack hugging her after he saved her life flashing in her mind. She knows that Jack is a good man and Victor has made him a prisoner. The episode sets the stage for what spoilers suggest will be an epic showdown between the Newman patriarch and his wife. The love of Nikki's life is becoming a man she doesn't recognize, and the possibility of her leaving him, once unthinkable, is now a very real narrative threat. Similarly, Adam Newman is depicted pulling away from his father. Adam's history with Jack is complex, but Jack has been a true father,